Hello, I'm Lori Steiner, sitting in for Armin Budish. Welcome to Golden Opportunities.
Today, grandparenting has changed. Meet the new Dr. Spock to find out how. Then we'll discover that life in a retirement village can be anything but retiring. Our teeth aren't immune to aging. We'll fill you in on how to turn back the clock. Plus, is the answer to our energy problems blowing in the wind? We'll ask our guest. And we'll reveal a shameful secret about Social Security.
It's time to get geoing, so pull up a chair and join us at our kitchen table for Golden Opportunities. Way back in the late 20th century, when parents needed advice on raising their bundles of joy, they turned to Dr. Benjamin Spock. But who can fill those big shoes in today's complex world, especially when so many grandparents are now lending a hand? It is Dr. Robert Needleman. He's also revised the last 2 editions of Dr. Spock's various baby and child care books, and he's here to help grandparents be great. Dr. Needleman is a developmental behavioral pediatrician with Metro Health. Welcome to the show. It's very interesting to have you.
Yeah.
So how did you come to become Dr. Spock?
Dr. Spock's widow, who was his writing partner for 35 years, asked me.
Oh,
and I said yes.
How did she get to know you?
She got to know me because a former student of mine worked with Spock for a while and asked me to come and write a Dr. Spock website, which I did for a number of years.
Okay.
So
she got to meet you and thought you were a good guy. So I bet that many grandparents and parents raise their children with Dr. Spock's old books. You know? Things have changed so much. And there's a big difference now, I think, in grandparenting with grandchildren. A lot of grandparents are taking care of grandchildren. So how did you update, give me some insight into what's happening in today's?
Yeah, there are grandparents who are taking an active role because they want to, and that's wonderful. And there are lots of opportunities for grandparents to really play a marvelous role for their kids and for their grandkids. And then there are many grandparents who are doing that because they have to. That's a little tougher, but even then they find great satisfaction.
Okay, but they can't necessarily rely on the old books.
Well, the old books are now 65 years old.
Yeah.
And a lot has changed. Spock revised them year after year.
Okay.
So I'm just the last in a long line of pediatricians who've been contributing and revising. And of course, the stuff that hasn't changed is the absolute core message that parents really do know what to do. Their hearts tell them the right thing.
And sometimes there's conflicts, though. I know parents want to do things their way, grandparents had a different way. What do you do when there's some conflict going on?
Yeah, so for both parents and grandparents, I think a good piece of advice is to take care of the relationship. Most of the issues that people argue about just aren't worth it when it comes right down to it, right?
Yeah,
so you got to ask yourself, is it really worth it? If it's really worth it, then
just
you
like
have to
dealing with
go
the
to
kids is a battle worth having.
That's right. So most of the time, grandparents are, better advised to say, well, I wouldn't do it that way, but you know what? You guys are the parents. And most of the time, the parents are better advised to say, listen, that's not my way to do it, but if you want to do that, well, little Susie or little Johnny is with you. That's fine.
So they come to a consensus.
An extra cookie is not going to kill them.
That's probably true, yeah.
And then every once in a while there are real conflicts, and then you have to work it out.
Okay. Now, grandparents, though, whether they're full-time caregivers or not, do play a really important role.
Oh, very important
what kind of role should they continue to play?
I think in the old days, and in many other parts of the world, we have parents and grandparents living in the same house, really contributing in an organic way. And then just in the last, maybe 40, 50 years in this country, parents have been separated from their grandparents. So you go to visit them, once a year or twice a year, which is really not the usual way. So now, more and more, grandparents and parents are a team. And the grandparents bring knowledge of the past. They bring traditions. They bring richness. They're the guys who know how to make the cake that tastes exactly right, and what do you do on Christmas, or what do you do at another, holiday. And then the parents are the ones with the energy. They're going to be the ones running off to the park. Sometimes young grandparents have that too. So.
And I understand, I wish we could talk more about it. You've got a book coming out for grandparents, so we're going to look for that.
I hope so.
So you never really outgrow parenting. It just grows into grandparenting for grand advice. Make an appointment to read Dr. Spock's book, and thanks to the new Dr. Spock, Dr. Robert Needleman.
My pleasure.
To find out more about Metro Health and the new Dr. Spock, call 216-728-2222 or visit www.metrohealth.org/pediatrics. Next, feeling right at home.